Well, how about this? This is one that's baffled me. I think there is an important spiritual lesson here. I'm not sure what it is. I have theories and opinions. I guess I won't know until I get on the other side of the veil.
Well, I guess we're all theorizing and opinionating at this point.
Yeah, but one thing that's always stood out to me about my experience at Dad's place was every night I would pray for those things to get out of the house. And they wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
And when they entered the room and stood over the bed, of course you couldn't see them, but you could, sense them.
They're
Yeah, they're there. They're looking down at you. It's like somebody staring at you in the elevator. Somebody's staring at you.
Yeah, I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting on that cross behind you to flip over.
No, I don't think so.
Freak out now?
No, it wouldn't freak me out. I just don't think they can. I think the Almighty's stronger than that. And if they did, it'd be a good way to call attention to yourself. We can all do a prayer and give it a bad day. So,
Amen.
Anyway, not to sound pretentious, but we've that would be anyway. Yeah, we're moving on. No, but whenever it would enter the room and I would pray, I'd pray get out, it would go to the edge of the bedroom, but it would never leave the house. It couldn't get back in the room, but it would always stay at the doorway.
Yeah.
It wasn't able to get any closer.
Yeah.
I think there's something about the way God helps us through problems. I feel like there's a metaphor in that.
Yeah.
A lesson to be learned. God keeps the evil at bay to an extent, but he never gets rid of it entirely because we're supposed to overcome it.
You.
In some,
you have to overcome it.
Yeah, something like that. And I had a very hard time with that when I was a kid, but who knows? I mean, now that I'm older and I find this stuff kind of pedantic and old news, maybe that was part of the reason. I don't know. I probably wouldn't be as nonchalant about the subject if it hadn't been for all that, I suppose. It hadn't been for that fact that it would never... Because God is always protecting you. He always keeps too much from happening to you. And, I mean, those things are so blasted vile, they'd rip your head off if they could.
Yeah.
But ultimately, they can't. Which is why it doesn't matter if that cross flipped upside down or not. I mean, there's only so much they can do. Yeah, and whatever they do, it's through God's permission, because he could swat them like a fly if he wants. Which is why I think the Bible or the Old Testament always talked about God sending things and allowing things. And I was reading Job recently, and I think that's what was happening, because in that story, Satan is the one who's causing the things to happen, but Job refers to God doing it. And I guess there's a couple ways you could look at that. You could say that he was wrong and that he thought God was punishing him, but he might also have meant that really God does everything because in a sense he allows it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think about that and I'm like, there has to be a lesson in there somewhere, because it was deliberate. Like, he answered the prayer to an extent, and I just feel like there was a reason for that. Yeah.
There's a reason and a lesson behind just about everything. Really.
Yeah.
Deep dive into it.
That's why I kind of like what the Gnostics have to say, because they're like, this whole place is a training ground. I don't like the whole demiurge ideal, but
yeah, the demiurge thing is stupid. But
yeah,
no, I think we are in a sense building our souls.
Yeah, strengthening the wheat from the chaff, man.
So
it's happening.
Well, I don't know if it's
what?
I don't know what you're saying. I was lost in my own head. I don't know. I think there's a separating in wheat from the chaff that takes place. I don't know if that's why we're here.
It's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Yes, I agree with that. I don't know if that's that we're getting into like predestination stuff, and I'm thinking on like theological. That's like a whole other topic, and we can get into it if you want, but that's like a whole other can of worms. So I'll leave it to you to decide if you want to talk about that further or not.
I don't know. I got all night if you guys got on.
Oh yeah, well we got 20 minutes and we can go for 6 hours. I set this Zoom up in for 5 hours or whatever, and it just went past that obviously because we stayed up to like 3 last week editing.
Yeah, that was a long night.
That was a long night.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm cool on theology.
You're cool on theology? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I've looked at a lot of it, man. It's just like I'm kind of burnt out on theology.
I go in spurts,
Yeah.
I have my certain pet topics that I get really, like bent out of shape over. And other topics I look at just to kind of, challenge the consensus, I guess, and for different things. But
I just like saying I don't know too much.
You just like saying I don't know too much?
Yeah.
I made a song about I don't know.
Well, yeah, because you don't know most of the time,
Theology is just a bunch of saying, I think I might know. Yeah. But you don't know.
You can make a good case. It's an inductive argument. You can say something's more probably true than not.
Yeah.
I think that's right. An inductive argument. I think that's what it is.
Kind of like my Bigfoot.
Your what?
My Bigfoot teleporting idea.
That video got us a lot of traction for a first video, though. People noticed teleporting Bigfoots. What?
Yeah. I've heard of that. That's a good idea. Well, I mean, if they're just Nephilim spirits, then they can do whatever they want.
Well, they can astral project. That was actually why Gary was like, "Let's start this."
Y'all believe in that stuff, astral projection?
I do.
I did.
I do too.
I mean, I do.
I think people can actually communicate with it.
I actually did once by accident.
Yeah, it's always by accident. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah, well, it's weird because I was having a particularly bad nightmare.
Yeah.
And I really, really wanted to wake up. And I know I was not dreaming. Like, it's one of those, you get super clear when you're awake, you know what I mean? So I was not dreaming this time. But I really, really wanted to wake up, and I made myself sit up. And I sit up, and I'm like, I look in the mirror, and I'm like translucent. And my first thought was, can I get back in? And I slowly lay back down, and then when I get back, my head hits the pillow, I go to sleep. But no, I saw like my translucent torso hovering over my body, and I was like, "What happened?"
That's funny, dude.
So,
I used to try and see if I could do it. Like I would meditate and try and focus, and then the next day I would go up to the person that I was trying to talk to, like in my head, and see if they had like a dream or something with me in it. Never worked.
Yeah. I get every time you think about somebody, I think it's because they're thinking about you. I'm not even kidding.
That could be.
I don't know. I've got like people that I think about sometimes. It happened in 30 seconds the other day. I thought about a particular person driving down the road. It was the next car I saw was him.
Really?
I was like, what the? And it happens a
lot. Well, that's the what's that called? Premeditated thought.
Rendering?
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Oh, premeditated.
Precognition? I'm just throwing out a word.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't know, dude. Personally, I think, have you read, I think it's 2 Peter?
2 Peter? 2 Peter, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah, the epilogue or epistles. It says, when God sees time, he sees it like the rim of a glass.
Right.
So like he can pick out any point in time and place, whatever.
Well, he's outside of time.
So I think, right. I think what happens when you think about somebody, they think about you, or deja vu, things like that. You're getting glimpses into that perspective of time.
Yeah.
So like everything's already happened and everything, and you're kind of like deja vu is kind of like you seeing it again.
Yeah.
You know, like on the rim of that glass.
Yeah.
That is true. I remember
So,
the first time
I
I
don't know.
saw the those 3 golden skyscrapers in Tulsa. The ORU. That's
Oh,
my
yeah.
ORU. I knew I was going to end up doing something in there. I didn't
Yeah.
know what. I wound up working there for 2 years, but first time I saw them, I was like drawn to them in some way, and
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's definitely a thing.
I run into stuff like that all the time.
Yeah.
But it kind of worries me. I think once you figure it out, that might be it for you.
Oh, once you figure out the answers to this stuff, you're
Yeah.
done. So, mission accomplished. Time to come home.
Well, you also got to be careful because that's how. What's the Satanist? What's his name?
Lester Crowley? Which one?
No, the one that died most recently.
I have no idea then.
He was a top dog Satanist here in the U.S.
You're not talking about Aaron Raw, are you?
No, he's not on like YouTube. My brain keeps wanting to say Andrew Tate. That's not right.
I'm Andrew Tate. I've got 33 Bugattis.
Wait, let me look it up.
I'm actually taking his real world course. It's pretty good.
No, don't change my audio.
He's such a dick.
Oh, I turn on my second monitor. It's like, change the audio.
Or what are you trying to look up?
Change the audio anyways. Hold on.
Looking up a Satanist.
You guys talking.
Satanist. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I like his course. It's been very, very helpful. So
he's such a douchebag, though, man.
I'm not going to confirm or deny. I'm kind of on an Andrew Tate kick. So yeah,
that's funny.
Well, I think he tries that tough love thing. You know what I mean?
He tries it. He tries it.
Oh, I think that's what he's going for. So,
LaVey, Anton LaVey. That's
Anton LaVey. Yeah, that guy.
He was a Satanist.
Yeah.
Let me pull it up.
What is a Satanist? Just like a self-worship person?
It's a
they
cult.
come in all sorts of varieties and flavors. Some think they can become vampires. Some think Satan's the good guy.
I like to jack off a lot and wear Baphomet shirts.
Okay.
They're the new emo.
So he was born in 1930 and he died in 97. American author, musician, and LaVeyan Satanist. So he was the founder of the Church of Satan, the philosophy of LaVeyan Satanism. So he authored several books, Satanic Bibles, Satanic Rituals, lots of Satan books. Holy cow. Anyways, I have a video about a pastor, who encountered Anton when Anton was astral projecting.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
So this preacher talks about cutting the astral plane cord. So
the silver cord?
The silver cord. He cut his cord, and
really,
that's exactly when Anton died.
That's kind of weird.
Really?
Proof of the silver cord.
How do you cut the cord?
I can share that
silver
video
cord?
with you.
Never heard of that?
I know the silver cord. I've heard of it, but I'm just like, well, wait a minute. If you're there's not a spiritual equivalent of a pair of scissors, so how does that work?
A pair of spiritual dikes.
You just,
so like prayed. Wire cutters, like it requires heavy duty scissors.
Yeah.
he prayed about it to God, and God cut the silver cord.
Oh, okay. So God killed him because he was messing around.
Yeah,
in somebody else's.
Well, he took over this girl's body.
Oh, okay.
That's how the preacher met Anton, was through this girl.
Well, see, that could have been a demon, though. They pretend to be everybody.
Exactly. Well, it's a deep story. So I'll find it here.
Yeah,
Share it with you guys.
Sure. If I can get these windows to work, we might play.
Well, it's like 2 hours long.
Oh, well, we don't.
Oh, Jesus.
It means like 6 hours of commentating to properly transform it.
Yeah.
We'll just put it on 4 times speed.
4 times speed, yeah.
And do it real fast.
And it's on another girl's podcast type thing.
Well, see, now I've just got a picture of some cartoon guy cutting somebody's cord behind him. I mean...
No, he's just a regular pastor.
Yeah.
Excuse me. A regular pastor.
A cartoon pastor.
Yeah.
It's like I've got like demonic Looney Tunes in my head.
Oh,
it's like
no.
Wile E.
Not
Coyote
again.
chasing some dude with his pair of scissors.
No, I don't want Eminem. Here it is.
It's 2 hours, man. We can't watch it.
Oh no, it's 3 hours long. I'm sorry.
Oh.
Jeez.
Well, how long did it take to cut this pair of scissors or cut the cord?
Well, what got me intrigued was the label of the video is Vampires, Zombies, and the Church of Satan Takedown.
Okay,
Top
so he's talking
secrets
about
revealed.
a lot of different stuff.
So
Okay.
It's a lady. Her channel's called Deep Believer, and she's talking to this preacher guy. I don't remember his name. Shane's name. Dave Bryan.
Okay.
So his unyielding prayers for the ultimate end of Satanist Anton LaVey. So this is the guy who claims to cut Anton LaVey's silver cord. It's very interesting.
It sounds kind of interesting.
It is
if you're
interesting.
into that type of stuff. But
Yeah.
Is there like any way that he can verify what he did, or is it just kind of take his word for it? I mean, I'm not inclined to disbelieve him necessarily. I'm just wondering. A lot of people can say that. I just wonder why people are paying attention to this guy.
Yeah, it's kind of a take his word for it. But it's a 3-hour video of her getting to know this guy and hear stories, and
so you can at least watch, and you can at least kind of discern whether or not he's full of shit.
Yeah, you make your own judgment type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
might be fun.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Be a good exercise in looking for like holes in people's stories and
see how big his nose is, right?
His nose is astral projection.
Oh yeah,
it's a spiritual. Well,
it's a grower, not a shower.
A spiritual nose.
I wish.
Your nose?
Family programming. Family programming.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put a PG-13 on this one.
No,
PG-13.
I make them where they're not eligible for kids. That don't mean kids can't find them.
When YouTube asks if it's made for children, this is an emphatic no.
It's emphatic.
How did I send this again from the PC? You know what? Oh, it's called email. That's right. I knew that.
What else, Care Bear?
Email?
Sorry, what? There's an awkward silence now.
I said, what else, Care Bear?
Oh, what else?
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? We gotta end on the positive stories. I'm pretty adamant about that. I have
a positive story that goes back to the not necessarily like demonic stories. It's my own personal. When I was I used to be really big into um, hmm, still am really the supernatural, spiritual side of things, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but um, I used to claim that I could see them all the time, spirits, and I was really, really into it a lot. And anyways, I went over to a friend's house one time, and they started talking about the spiritual stuff, and I just kind of sat back and was listening because I always tried to be, the guy listening in the background, and then if somebody asked me, I would chime in. And anyways, they were just they were like a year or so younger than me, and they were just now getting into this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And anyways, they asked me what I thought, and I was like, well, I mean, you could ask your friend that's in your bathroom. And they all looked at me like I was insane because a week before they had done the Bloody Mary thing in the bathroom, and they hadn't talked to me about it at all. Freaked them out.
So did you actually see somebody in the bathroom, or you just?
There was, when I went to the bathroom while I was there was this extreme feeling that something happened in the bathroom.
Okay.
And so I was like, when they started talking about it and they asked me about it, it's like, I'm going to creep them out a little bit and just bring it up and see if they freak out. And
yeah,
sure enough, they didn't sleep the rest of the night.
Yeah.
Because they were
get scared about stuff.
They were super intrigued super into it that Bloody Mary was now going to come out.
When I see stuff, and it's not often or anything, aside from the 10-foot shadow guy, that was on a whole other level.
Yeah, that's wild stuff, dude.
Yeah, that was like a realm unto it. Yeah, that was a whole other thing. But when I see stuff, usually, and this is something that I've never heard anybody say or talk about, but it's baffled me. Like, I always see them as like kind of cartoonish. So for example, the first time I saw something when I was a kid, I was one of those Grim Reaper figures. It was a white translucent Reaper with the scythe, and it appeared on one side of my bed and then walked across the room, disappeared. But it was cartoonish. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't look real. And every time I get glimpses of stuff, it's like oversaturated. Like, I don't know how else to put it. It's like if you look at a cartoon that's just a little too bright and a little too two-dimensional, it's off. Like, it's really not human. It's very obviously not human. It's very off.
Does it give you a does it deaden the fear response that it's that way?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I mean, because you're
like you've got the Harry Potter.
I'm sorry.
The Harry Potter Bogart thing figured out.
I don't know what that is.
Where they open the chest and it's whatever your fear is. It comes out and scares you, and you have to transmute it into something that makes you laugh. You have to imagine it's something stupid.
I don't know. It's just the weirdest thing. It's like the times I've seen stuff. Like, I've seen the the cartoonish version of ghosts. You know what I mean? Like with the sheet over them or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're floating around or whatever. I'll see
Casper's
years ago.
Ghost.
The last significant supernatural stuff I went through was in the House of Claremore. Thankfully, I haven't been through anything since then.
Yeah.
But so it's been years. What was that? 2018, 2019. So about 5-6 years ago before I really was the last time I really went through anything. Aside from the stupid alien lights at my house, but that's aliens, is another thing. But anyhow.
So we think.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no answers. But whenever I was seeing stuff, it would show up as like this white blob that would kind of morph You know what I mean? And kind
Kind of like
of
vape mists.
Yeah, and it was really
Dude, I
like
kind of feel
stupid.
like I saw something like that at your house one time.
Really?
That's kind of how they
We
start out. You know?
we
Yeah.
were burning trash and a spray paint can or something blew up. It was like this huge explosion, and I was like right on top of it, and I didn't get touched. I just like saw this like figure in front of me.
Really?
I don't remember. Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
guardian angel.
Yeah.
I don't know
It was
what these things are, but they're white and they're
something.
amorphous, and it's almost like you can kind of see them, but you kind of can't see them, and it's kind of like, did I see that? And it's like a fraction of a second longer than a glimpse.
Yeah.
Not all the time. Sometimes they stick around, but most of the time, 99.9% of the time, it's a fraction of a second longer than a glimpse. Just long enough for you to know you saw something. You know.
So why was your dad's house so haunted? It was a double wide. I mean, it wasn't that old.
Well, it wasn't a double wide, but yeah, you're right. It's very young. I know that there was a house that burned down in that spot years and years ago.
Maybe
But
that's
I
it.
have no idea. Whatever the heck was in his house is nasty.
Yeah.
It's nasty.
Well, you want my opinion?
Go for it.
It's not the house. It's your dad has an attachment. Very strong attachment.
If he has an attachment, he's completely oblivious to it.
And a lot of times, people are oblivious to their own attachment.
I don't know. I will say that it would pace in front of his door constantly. You know,
And
but
it could have
that's
been
all- I mean,
it could have been your mom's.
well, she was
Yeah,
gone.
I don't know.
It was still around when she left.
Okay, so yeah.
So I mean, it could have been
Probably
the
your
house.
dad's.
I don't know. I
I don't know.
That is what's baffled me because it is. I've seen a lot of stuff, especially when I got out on my own.
Yeah.
In different places because I've moved a lot, but never like aside from the stuff at the Passion Play, none of it's ever been anything like what was at Dad's. Ever.
Yeah.
I mean, it would the stuff that happened at Dad's was just crazy. And again, it was like not that one. You would see shadows darting across the wall. You would get glimpses of something pacing in front of the door. You would get that feeling where there's something moving, like, and your eyes are tracking the movement, but nothing's there.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. You know, but none of the visual stuff like that. It was all like they call it night terrors.
Yeah.
It's not night terror. Like you have to be asleep, and you weren't asleep for a lot of it. You know.
Well, technically, you don't have to be asleep to see a night terror.
Well, they call it sleep paralysis. That was the big thing I went through constantly.
Like with the weight on your chest?
Oh, it was weirder than that.
Oh wow.
It was. I remember the first time it happened. Again, theories, guessing, conjecture. I don't know, but when it kicked off, I had a very particular dream. Starts out stupid as heck. It starts out the Backstreet Boys are my grandmother's for some reason.
Yeah. I mean,
And then-
obviously.
Streets back.
Yeah. So I got this boy band in the back of Granny's car, and it's a weird dream. But it ends with one of those guys in a trench coat coming in my room, black silhouette, grabs my big toe, one in each hand, you know. And up one leg goes this extremely hot sensation, and up the other leg goes this extremely cold sensation. And then
Turned out I
wake up.
peed myself.
Huh?
It turned out I peed myself.
That would have been good news. No, but then it kicked up, and the first time it happened, I'll never forget it because I was wide awake. You know, I was waking up, and I think the alarm had went off. I was getting ready to go to school. I was actually late for school that day because I couldn't move. Literally couldn't move for like 20 minutes. I was stuck, and I was awake for the whole thing. And what it was is I have struggled for years to try to explain what the sensation felt like. But you would be laying there, you would feel something maybe coming in the room, and then you'd get this really intense fear. And then you would just kind of lock up, and you could move your arm, but it was like really, really hard. Like you really, really had to strain to move. And then the sensation that I felt was this kind of, it was some kind of energy. This is not going to be descriptive in any way, but it was like a fuzzy feeling. And when I was a kid, I described it as being turned into styrofoam or feeling like so. Like there's all these little bubbles of something in you, some kind of energy in you, and it's very foreign, I guess. It's like, but trying to describe it's like trying to describe a color you've never seen before.
It's like TV static in your blood.
Yeah, like TV static in your blood. That's a good analogy for it. It's like white noise only in you.
Yeah,
and you would just I froze. Of course, I didn't. Family was secessionist, those Baptists that don't believe miracles happen, and if you get a demon, that means you did something really, really wrong. So I wasn't thinking demon, I wasn't thinking ghost. I had no idea what in the world was going on because nobody had ever told me about any of this. I was in 7th grade when it happened. And so I just lay there. I have no clue what's happening. I'm not scared because I don't know enough to be scared. When it kept happening, I started getting scared. But the first time it happened, you're just kind of like, well, this is weird. But what was really interesting was this high-pitched whine starts going off in my, like, kind of outside of my ear, and something just starts chattering. It was like you're an AM radio where you're driving away and you're losing the frequency. You know how the radios kind of would hiss and get that high-pitched squeal? It was exactly like that, and it was just something talking. And you have no idea what it was saying. It was just talking. It was just talking in your ear. And that went on for about 20 minutes. And I know because I could kind of do this number, look at the clock, and then my head would jerk back, And I was like that for 20 minutes, then just let up. And I went to school having no idea what happened. That went on for forever. And finally, after forever, finally admitting that it was a demon. Because you start to suspect after a while.
Did you feel drained after each time that happened?
No, I didn't feel drained. No.
Huh.
I was just confused, I guess, but I didn't feel drained or anything. Finally, I acknowledged that it was a demon, and the night before, I put a Bible by my lampstand. I wake up, same thing happens. And I had to try 3 or 4 times to grab the Bible, because first of all, you can't hardly move your arm. And the first 3 times or so I did it, it was like I would have the Bible in my hand, I would look up, I'd look back, the Bible was back on the nightstand. And so I had to like grab it like 3. Yeah, I had to like grab it like 3 times before it would stay in my hand.
Man, I'm just imagining how bad that would be. That'd be terrifying.
That's why I get so frustrated when people talk about these accounts, because it's like when you're going through it, you just don't know what's going on at first. Like you just,
especially if you haven't looked into it at all.
That's the worst part. That's worse than the event, is when there's just no answers, and when you start suspecting that it's a demonic thing, and you start asking preachers and stuff, they don't care. They don't know what it is any more than you do. And nobody has any answers, and you keep looking around, you can't find them. And finally, I did get that Bible, and I said, I'm Christ's, I'm not yours, leave me alone. It left. And then it took a while to go back to bed, but I went to sleep, I guess that's the thing. It's how I know I was awake, because it took so long to get back to sleep,
Yeah.
But that was the kind of stuff that would happen at Dad's.
Yeah.
And I've had little echoes of that since. I would say that stuff later on is more night terror stuff, because it's like memory, like it's the memory of it, and my memories of those later times are a little more muffled. Those times in the beginning are very, very clear. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.